Hey, what's up guys? It's Pedro here from noobcoder.com, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking about variables. Now, all a variable is a way for us to store data. So in order to create a variable, we need to use a keyword in JavaScript called var, followed by its name. But there are a couple of rules. The name can contain letters, an underscore, a $, and numbers, but it has to start with either a letter, underscore, or $. So, to give you guys an example, I'm going to declare a variable called first name. So I'm going to type var first, capital N, name. Then we're going to end it off with a semicolon. Now you might be wondering why first is lowercase and why name is capitalized. And that's just a naming convention, and that convention is called camel casing. Now all camel casing is that if you have multiple words within your variable name, so for instance I have first, then I have name. For the first word you lowercase, the second word you capitalize. And there's also another convention called Pascal casing, where you always capitalize the first letter of every word. However, in these tutorials, we're going to be sticking to camel casing. Now, these naming conventions exist just to make it easier to read the code. So I'm just going to change this from a capital F to a lowercase f. Now, I want to assign a value to this variable. So I'm going to give it the value of Pedro, and in order to do that, we're going to use the assignment operator. So I'm just going to go to the next line. I'm going to type first name, because that's the variable we just created. And now I'm going to say equal, and then we're going to pass a string called Pedro, because that's my first name. Then we're going to hit semicolon to end it. Now, how you should read this is first name is assign the value of Pedro. But you hear a lot of people call this the equal sign. This is called the assignment operator. Now, there is also an equals operator, but it doesn't do what you think it does. So now I'm just going to print this variable onto the console. So I'm just going to type console.log first name, insert semicolon, Control S to save, Control B. We're going to right click on index.html, double click. We're going to hit F12. And you can see that Pedro is being printed onto the console. So let's head back to our editor. And we're going to go to tutorial.js, Control B. Now we can actually write these two lines into one, but before that, let's comment them. So this is called declaring a variable called first name. This line is assigning the value of Pedro to the variable first name. Now I'm going to give you another example to show that we can combine these two lines of code into one. So let's say I go with var last name. Now instead of just ending it here with the semicolon, I could just use the assignment operator, and I could assign it the value of Mercado. End it with a semicolon, and this should work perfectly fine. So if I was to print this onto the console, so I'm just going to copy this, make life a lot easier. Console.log, paste that in there, semicolon, Control S to save, head over to our browser, and now if I hit the refresh, you see that it prints out Mercado. Now let's head over back to our editor. And let's say I want to declare multiple variables. So you might say, hey, I could just say var x, and then I could say var y, and that should be good enough. But I could actually do it in a more simpler way. For example, if I get rid of this, I could say var x, and if I want to create another variable called y, I could just say comma y, semicolon. And now I just declared two variables, x and y. So if I was to assign x the value of x and y the value of y, and print this out to the console, you can see that we're going to get the same exact result. So if I was to hit refresh, see x and y. But I can also combine the two. So for example, let me get rid of this. Now let's say I know what I want to initialize the value of x to. So I want to assign it the value of x. And let's say y, I have no idea what I want to initialize it to. So if I just get rid of this, Control S to save, go to my browser, refresh, you see that we get the value of x. So you could mix and match. And that's pretty much it for variables.